Hello, I'm Rob Bonak, Area Director for the Appleton Area OSHA Office, and welcome to the 2015 Excavator Safety Meeting. Some of the things we'll talk about today are the most frequently cited violations in underground construction. We'll touch briefly on a couple of OSHA standards related to damage prevention. Then we'll check in with Josh Retzlaff at KS Energy Services to look at some best practices with potholing and locating underground utilities. We'll address some changes to the OSHA record-keeping standard, and we will finish with some information for public sector workers. Before we take a look at the most frequently cited standards, let's take a quick look at this video.
Who's in charge today?
Huh?
Who's in charge today? How you doing? I'm in the state of Oregon, Oregon OSHA. Looks like you got a little bit of a shoring problem going on.
That's it. That's what we're installing right now.
Well, he can't be down there.
Okay.
How are you going to get him out?
Shoring or what? Jim, just unhook that thing. Sorry. Watch it.
You want to see why he can't be down there?
What?
That's why he can't be down there.
Okay, it's still sheets you gotta go in.
Okay, you got to get him out. And I hope you get him out soon.
Go.
How long you guys been working here?
About 3 hours.
Okay. How deep are you there?
About 21 feet.
Although the video comes from our counterparts in Oregon, it sends a good message. Unprotected trenches will eventually cave in. We just don't know when. Every year, the #1 most frequently cited violation in underground construction is the failure to use protective systems in trenches. As we just saw, unprotected trenches can be very dangerous. Trenches 5 feet or deeper need to have protective systems in place. A competent person is responsible for classifying the type of soil being excavated and must also determine the proper protective system for workers entering an excavation. Trenches 4 feet or deeper require an adequate means of egress or exit. Failure to do so is the second most frequently cited violation. Third is the failure of employers to provide training to workers on not only being able to recognize the hazards of their work, but also to teach workers how to avoid and correct the hazards they encounter. The fourth violation is an easy one to spot. Whenever you have an overhead hazard, head protection is required. Wear your hard hat. And the fifth most frequently cited violation our compliance officers see is improperly installed ladders. The ladder has to extend 3 feet beyond the edge of the trench to give workers a handhold so they can exit the excavation safely. Let's take a closer look at some of the standards related to worker safety and utility damage prevention. Paragraph B of our excavation standard outlines these requirements. Prior to opening an excavation, the estimated location of the utility installations that may reasonably be expected to be encountered must be determined. Utility companies shall be contacted, advised of the proposed work, and asked to establish the location of the utility prior to the start of an excavation. In Wisconsin, we do that by contacting Diggers Hotline 3 days prior to any digging. When excavation operations get near the estimated location of underground utilities, the exact location must be determined by safe and acceptable means. Soft digging techniques are a good example of a safe means. Another, which we'll take a look at in a few minutes, would be potholing. While the excavation is open, underground installations shall be protected, supported or removed as necessary to safeguard workers. This photograph demonstrates protective systems during the installation process. As we saw previously, when excavations get close to underground utilities, we need to precisely determine their location. I have Josh here with me from KS Energies, and he's going to show us some best practices in determining the location of those utilities.
Thank you very much. What I have behind me here is a trench alongside the road where we've got 2 facilities in our running line for our natural gas main. We had to expose each facility in our running line to ensure we did not damage them while we were directional drilling. A practice you should avoid when directional drilling is called blind boring. That is the act of crossing a utility without first exposing it at the point of crossing. The best practice used to avoid hitting utilities when directional drilling is to expose the utility you are crossing. Make sure to expose all the way around that facility. A lot of contractors tend to hit duct packages because they don't expose all the way underneath that facility. You should also have your directional drill locator walk out the drill head and observe the head pass each utility on both the drill out and the pull back. You do this because the drill head may have a tendency to raise or lower itself during these actions. Some of the industry's best practices when using the vacuum excavation truck are to wear a face shield, use dielectrical gloves when exposing electrical utilities, and not to place the wand directly on the facility to prevent damaging the facility or the coating on that utility.
OSHA did revise the crane standard this past year. The crane operator qualification requirements have been pushed back to November 2017. Operators of equipment covered under the OSHA crane standard now have additional time to receive training for qualification and certification. OSHA did revise the record-keeping standard this past year, which is effective in 2015. Under the new record-keeping standard, all covered employees must report all work-related fatalities to OSHA within 8 hours, all work-related inpatient hospitalizations to OSHA within 24 hours. Employers are now required to report all work-related amputations to OSHA within 24 hours and all related losses of an eye to OSHA within 24 hours. You can find more information at the record-keeping page on the OSHA website. For further information on construction safety, OSHA provides a variety of resources through its webpage or through specific informational sheets developed through its various alliances in the construction field. Occupational safety and health for all public sector employees in Wisconsin, which includes city, state, or county workers, is enforced by the Department of Safety and Professional Services. Enforcement is based on the 2003 OSHA standards, but there are some requirements that go beyond the OSHA standards. These are outlined in SPS Chapter 332. A public sector worker handout with contact information is available today, or you may submit general questions to health and safety at wi.gov. In conclusion, please remember that OSHA is here to help promote and ensure worker safety. Standards and requirements are not meant to make construction jobs more difficult. It's to keep the job sites safe. OSHA and the Department of Safety and Professional Services has many resources available to help you. Thanks to Diggers Hotline and KS Energy Services for making this video possible. And thank you for attending today's meeting. And as always, call or click before you dig.